Hey guys, time for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist for Monday, May 13th. Let's talk about what Mr. Rafa did today. So lots of little details on the 71 Ghia, nothing too earth-shattering, but all things that need to be done nonetheless. So one of which is he ran the horn wire from the steering coupler up through the column. Of course, ultimately that'll connect to the horn mechanism up here. And let's see what else he did. I had done an alignment on this car previously, but I hadn't tightened down the tie rod, so he went and did that. So that's good, so we don't forget that later. Let's see, what else did he do? Oh, another thing that's kind of a big thing. The radio, I had installed it previously, but it wasn't wired, so he went ahead and got that all wired in. So got the wires tucked back in there as neatly as we can. Again, these radios have a lot of wires, so kind of do our best to put them back there and make it look neat. And we went ahead and wired it to the fuse box and so on. At the owner's request, we're putting in a new master cylinder reservoir. His original one was actually really nice, but he was just concerned that because of its age, it might start leaking. So that's fine. Again, we checked it, looked fine, seemed nice and compliant. But if it makes it more comfortable, well, that's okay. We'll go ahead and replace it. So that's what that is sitting there. And let's see what else. Wired in the radio. Another thing was and I think I mentioned this before, was the clocks on these radios, or excuse me, the clocks on these radios. That makes no sense. The clocks on these cars have a really weird circuit in them where if the battery voltage gets low, a fusible link, which is essentially a fuse inside the clock, seems to go out. So when the owner purchased the clock for this car, that's what was wrong with it. So he did some research and fixed it, did a really great job, and cleaned it up. It looks great. But what we did was, and this was actually his idea, was we put an inline fuse holder in the car. You can kind of see it right there. And we put a really small fuse in that, like a 1 amp fuse. So we're hoping that will protect the clock if the battery voltage ever gets low enough and the clock tries to draw a higher current to compensate, that fuse there will blow instead of the little fusible link inside the clock, which requires you to disassemble it and kind of a pain in the butt. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully that'll protect the little fusible link inside there. Other thing, super not exciting. I don't know if you'll even be able to see this. Oh yeah, there's one right there. Put on new, right there. Put on new Zerk fittings. Still had probably the original ones on. I think maybe 1 or 2 of the 4 were busted off. So, little things like that. So we can grease up his front end. I think that's about it. Rafa came in a little bit late today. And then this morning he worked on kind of a little side project we have on here. Customer brought in some vent windows for a oval window convertible that they want rebuilt. So we're working on those. They were a little bit mangled, the vent wing pieces, so he spent some time this morning straightening those out. So now we have to send them out and get them plated, and then we'll assemble those. So he spent a while on that this morning. As far as me, I pretty much spent all day on the 57 Prairie Beige Oval. This car, the oil light on this car was staying on in kind of a concerning way until you had to rev the motor pretty decent to get the oil light to go out, which of course is not right. And especially on, essentially it was doing that even on a cold motor. So red flags all over the place. So I borrowed a oil pressure gauge from Dave Greiner, the builder of this of the long block, and took out the oil pressure switch and put that in. And the car had about 10 psi at idle. But then when you revved it, it was only going up to about 20 or so. So really, and this was with the oil not all that hot. So really kind of low, kind of concerning. So I went ahead and pulled out the oil pump, and we kind of did a few things to the oil pump. One is we surfaced the oil pump so that the gears in it, for those of you that are familiar, the gears were running very much flush with the face, and then the space between the oil pump cover and the gears is created by the gasket. We of course use a very thin gasket. So we did that, and then we kind of faced also the oil pump cover that goes on it to make sure it was very flat, make sure we weren't leaking any pressure through there. I pulled out the oil bypass plunger. It was moving not quite as freely as we'd like, so I spent a little bit of time kind of massaging it. And then the sealing surface of it was not great, so I went and kind of polished that up a little bit and got it a little flatter. So basically did all those little tips or little tricks on it, and now it's got much better oil pressure. Very happy with that. And then this does have an original screw terminal style oil pressure switch on it. Those are actually adjustable. So we adjusted it. So it for some reason the oil pressure switch was set to register way too high. So they're supposed to be like 3 pounds or something like that before the oil pressure light comes on. I don't remember the exact number, but it's actually pretty low. And even at 10 psi, that light was coming on, which is just not right. So I adjusted that. So everything's good now. I had good oil pressure and feeling good about all that. So yeah, that was kind of a pain in the ass. So pulling the oil pump off a car which is already assembled, you got to pull some tin off the back of the motor. You got to pull the pulley. Kind of a pain in the ass, frankly, but of course, something we had to check out, make sure this thing was making its best oil pressure possible. So I did that, finished that, and then I test drove the car. Probably put about 8 miles on it today, maybe. Running really good. This car is really a pleasure to drive. One thing I noticed when I was driving it, though, was the horn was not working. So pulled the horn button apart and worked on it some, and got the horn working now. So yeah, some little things. I think those are actually the last couple things on this car. So I'm trying to get a hold of the detailer that we use now to come and give this car a good color correction and probably go ahead and ceramic coat it. So as soon as I get a hold of him and we're able to have those things done, then I think this car is ready for delivery to its owner. I did make a short video, just 15-20 seconds driving this car today. I'll post that up today or tomorrow. And what else? Yeah, so that's it. Pretty good day, trying to keep these projects moving along. This one's basically done, other than, again, kind of detailing it, probably ceramic coat it. And this one, it's moving right along. So the buses didn't get any love today, but that's okay. They'll survive. So that is it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.